Our next presenter is Alison Bernard, also known in the performing arts as EmpressAje. She's an artist, cultural ambassador. She's also the founder and executive producer of the EBA Music Festival. We welcome now Ms. Alison Bernard.
Pleasant day to everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. And a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Baines. You know, I have to give you that little story how I met Dr. Baines. But again, I am very, very grateful to be in this space. Very, very grateful. And I was saying to Dr. Baines when we went for tea, you know, we fuss a lot as humans, but everything happens the way the universe deems it to happen. Whether here is filled with people or everything is happening just right. So as I was introduced, I'm a performance artist, I'm a musician. So my product is a little different. Yeah? Music is universal, not so? Regardless of your geographical location, music is universal. So this story started some time ago with a 14-year-old, good-looking young girl from Diego Martin who fell in love with a steel pan player. And, you know, after mingling, she got pregnant. But at 14 years, you are pregnant in Trinidad and Tobago, as we would say in local parlance, that is shame and scandal in the family. That is bacchanal. So for the people who are not Trinidadians, bacchanal means confusion, hothead, mayhem, right? So at 14 years of age, you get pregnant, you have to drop out of school. Her parents decided you have to get rid of this child, abortion. And she went along. Fortunately, and you'll understand why I say fortunately. Fortunately for her, on the day that they took her to abort this child, she decided, I want to have the baby. So her mother told her, well, so you're playing woman. Go get a job, leave my house, and let your man mind you and the child. Yeah? Well, of course, the child was born. And 50 plus years after, the child is standing here today. Yeah? To address you. So that was the start of the story. And before I go any further, you know, I want to thank my mother for not aborting me. And even though my mother always say, you're the strong one, she's strong in a different kind of way. My mother is very quiet, but she doesn't even know her strength, which was exhibited on that day, standing up to her parents. And her father back then was a chemist in Port of Spain General Hospital. My grandfather, his name is Mr. Lutchman. Can't remember his first name, but I only saw my grandfather once. He was very ill, and he asked to see this child. So I met him, right? I'm sure he's very proud of me now. So, going forward, I was always talented in the arts, always involved in music in school, but growing up very humble, that would not be, remember, this is a young woman, got pregnant at the age of 14, have to grapple on how to raise a child. Yeah, she actually gave birth to me at age 15, but she got pregnant at 14. But I was always involved in the arts, always involved. But her main concern was not sending me into a cultural group or anything like that. She's fighting to provide food, a shelter over my head, and to make sure I attended school. So I didn't get the opportunity to go into cultural school from a young age. This happened, and I'm fast forwarding the story because I could stay here whole day. my story and life is that exciting. it was when I got a bit older, right? Even though I participated in the choir at secondary school and, always involved, it was only when I reached adult age that I actively, seriously got involved. To the locals and international people, have you ever heard the name Ella Andel? Right. So that was the woman who recognized my talent because, started off singing in the Spiritual Baptist Church. And that was even though I grew up as a Christian in the Catholic schools and all of that, in my adult age, I gravitated towards that aspect of spirituality. So singing in the church, my spiritual mother recognized my talent and introduced me to Ella Andel, and it started from there. So that I started doing background vocals for her. And then she said to me, why don't you go into Calypso? I said, me? I didn't want any part of Calypso. She said, no, you need to get into the aspect of storytelling and Calypso. But I still didn't take her on. I just was content with taking part in Calypso competition in the workplace. I spent a great deal in the corporate world. I came from the oil and gas sector, then I went downstream into Massey and these places. And within the oil and gas, there was a competition called Sing the Thing, where all the oil and gas companies will have the little Calypso competition. And Mr. Robert Riley, who was then the CEO of BPTT, when I won the competition in 2008, and he said, why don't you get your foot wet and go into a Calypso tent? Again, I didn't want to do that. But I took his advice, and again, for the locals, so Calypso, for again, just a little bit, that is the art form that we created based on our ancestors and West African rhythm. And from Calypso, which is the base, we now have a lot of sub-genres. We have chutney, we have gospel-lypso, we have soca, but the foundation of where it started, I decided to go into it. In 2019, I sat and I said to myself, I am not content with just singing around festive time. Added to that, there was this spiritual awakening in me, an inclination to pay respect to women. How do I pay respect to women culturally? I mean, we have a number of programs that exist in Trinidad and Tobago. And me being an artist, my spirit kept saying, do something within the culture for women. So in 2019, after singing in the Calypso tent, Calypso Review for 5 years, I decided to start my own event. And that event, the name Iba Music Festival, where it pays homage to the divine feminine energy. And we know the divine feminine energy is as huge as it is, right? That encompasses our mothers, our grandmothers, the actual, not just physical energy, but the spiritual feminine energy of the universe. And for me, how can we exist without embracing the divine feminine energy, which goes beyond the boundary of geographical location or even religion? Because we can say, my spectrum and how I think as an artist is way beyond ethnicity or geographical location. I understand the divine feminine essence and how it plays a major role in our existence. So I decided to start this event, Iba Music Festival, where we pay homage to the divine feminine essence, to our mothers, our grandmothers, our matriarchs, with culture. So it's a very diverse show, different genres of music, not just singing, it's a cultural event. And, I would like to refer to myself as a late starter. Because if you talk to a lot of artists now, they tell you, well, I was born in a musical family, I started at 14 years of age. That's not me. I take off really at around 45 years of age. I would like to say that. All before, I was still not totally settled. And I used to feel bad about that, but I want to tell you that is okay. One of these speakers, one of the virtual speakers, I saw where she said, it's never too late to start. But societal pressures makes us feel you have to achieve this by this age, you have to get married by this age, and that keeps us in a sort of bondage. So I'm a late starter, and at around 45 is when I would say I really take off. The Calypso Monarch in Trinidad and Tobago, I made it in 2019. I was a finalist in the Calypso Queen Monarch from 2010 to 2020. I've performed in Dubai, Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania, Cuba, you know. I think I'm going pretty good if you ask me, right? But the whole emphasis is celebrating women. And I have added to that by forming an NGO. And I must say thanks, before I forget, to Dr. Leela Ramsing, my friend, and Anika Plowden, who probably just stepped out. They encouraged me to create an NGO. It's called Shantwell Vibes Foundation, where I interact with mostly the young people, because you want to teach them the value of music and also the different exchange of culture. I work with a lot of young children in the school, and it has been really fulfilling so far. This year, I got the golden opportunity to work with the girls from St. Jude's School. And that was a whole awakening. As I said, all keeping in focus, celebrating the divine feminine energy. Sorry. Yeah. Iba Music Festival celebrated 5 years this year. The event was held at Estate 101 in Marval, celebrating 5 years. And for me, 5 is a significant number in the universe. 5 represents the divine feminine. And it was really spectacular this year. In past years, the event was held at Naparima College for 3 years. I held it at Naparima College, but it actually started in Little Carib Theatre, and Beryl McBurney was very much paid homage to back then. I don't know how many of us locally know the name Beryl McBurney, right, culturally. So as I go along Destiny's path, the focus to celebrate women culturally, you know, that's first and foremost. It doesn't mean, like I have male friends who say, so when you're doing something for men, you know, it doesn't mean I don't celebrate men as well, because and you would see at the end, the event is very diverse, very, very diverse. And we need men, it's balance. We need that balance. Female, male, we need that balance. So the whole focus of Iba Music Festival, Iba meaning to give the highest praise. I-B-A, it's Yoruba, and I is pronounced E in Yoruba. So I-B-A, some people say the IBA festival, but it's Iba with a little dash on top the I and a dash on the A. Iba means to give the highest praise. It's like how you would say Amen, Alhamdulillah, Om Shanti. It's the same equivalent. As I said, my view and spectrum is wide. I try not to put myself in any box because, again, earlier I heard from one of the speakers, it's one human race. That's what it is, one human race. So I coined that, Iba Music Festival, to give the highest praise. And that's what we're really doing at this festival. We're giving praise and thanks to the divine feminine energy. At this juncture, my spiritual direction, my energy is for Iba to become global. Whether it goes out of Trinidad and Tobago or artists come into Trinidad and Tobago, it is that global essence that the product must now take. So let me go back a bit to how I met Dr. Abnash, and you would understand the whole networking. So I'm in Kenya, at Festac, Festivals of African Arts and Culture. I'm in Festac. And this lady, of course, comes up to me and she's complimenting me on how I look. Yes, I love to dress. I love to dress. I grew up with a mother. We grew up very poor, but she always used to say, if you had $2 in your pocket, nobody not supposed to know. Walk the road with your head high and look well. So I grew up with that. And she complimented me on how I looked that day. And she said, I'm from India. And she introduced herself for the organization. I introduced myself as well. And then she goes on to ask me if I know a particular person in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, what are the chances of meeting Dr. Avinash in Kenya, asking me if I know a person in Trinidad and Tobago? It's not like she asked, do you know ever heard of the Hindu Women's Organization or Malik Folk Performance? This is one individual. But then she said, do you know Leela Ramsing? I said, yes, that is my friend. So she said, what a small world. I'm out in Kenya. You ask me if I know this one person, it happens I know Leela very well. And Leela was giving me a little insight about Dr. Baines. So I remember when I went back to the hotel, I messaged Leela and I couldn't. And we take it from there. Again, I always say to live void of spiritual essence and direction is to be dead. If you are just existing carnally, what's the use? I had no idea that Dr. Baines would be in Trinidad today. So I'm connecting it. That's no idea. So that when she told me of their planned visit to Trinidad and Tobago, I said, wow. And she said, listen, I have to have you. You have to come and speak. I'm saying, but talk about what? I don't manufacture nothing. At the point in time, narrow-mindedness. And then she talked, but you have an event. That's your product, I said, but yeah, girl, what's wrong with you? You have a product. Music, culture is very much a product. As somebody who is making tomato paste, etc. It's marketed. It's a product that you pay for. You get entertainment, it's an exchange. You pay to go to an event and you get entertainment in whatever form. So that's how I am here. So much for that. And I'm forever grateful. I live in gratitude for everything that happens. So I came here, whether it was going to be a room full of people or one person, I came here to exude that energy and that purpose, because I really believe I did not meet Dr. Baines by happenstance. It's impossible. Nobody could convince me that I met her by chance in Kenya, out in East Africa. So the purpose of me here is to share with you that there is this festival happening in Trinidad and Tobago for the last 5 years that celebrates women, celebrates the divine feminine energy, celebrated 5 years this year, and the objective, the scope, is for EBA to become one of not the most biggest cultural festival in Trinidad and Tobago, because of its diversity and what we set out to do. It happens every year, the Saturday before Mother's Day. So we know Mother's Day is the second Sunday in May. That doesn't change. Well, EBA doesn't change. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day. Because culturally, we like to be home on a Sunday, go by family for Mother's Day. So it's this Saturday. And as I said, it's time to take it global. Whether it happens in Trinidad next year, we'll wait and see. But for sure, I know the whole complexion of it would change. So what I put together, and I couldn't put a whole long video because the concentration span now has shifted a lot. We were just discussing, people doesn't want to see anything beyond 2 minutes and that kind of thing. So I've put a little video together that you could look and see what took place this year. Yeah? You might see people you're familiar with. So that's a little snippet of EBA Music Festival. Yeah, I think there's a last slide with my contact on it. EmpressAje, if you go to Instagram, EmpressAje, that's me. I would look much different now. Being on stage is a different look. Facebook, it's EmpressAje as well. And email, it's empressaje1@gmail.com. Something that I forgot, very important, at EBA Music Festival, we also accommodate young entrepreneurs, female predominantly, but I have taken males. So they come and they offer their craft for sale, as you would have seen in the video. That's a big thing. This was the only location, Estate 101, where we didn't have food vendors, but I invite food vendors, craft, the women, so they bring all their stuff out for sale. So I'm looking forward to seeing you. If it's in Trinidad, I don't know why it might not be in Trinidad next year, but if it's in Trinidad, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you at EBA Music Festival 2026. Thank you very much.